This year marks the 12th year of my acne journey. 12 years of regular trips to the dermatologist. 12 years of having days when I would feel too ashamed to even look my own best friends in the eye. 12 years of having moments of such low self-esteem, I was sure I would never be deemed lovable to any other human. 12 years of wondering why I was given such an unfair deal when my peers around me walked around with perfect skin. 12 years of every acne medication, treatment, and remedy under the sun. Expensive skincare, topical antibiotics, facials, benzoyl peroxide creams, oral antibiotics, 3 different kinds of contraceptive pills, retinoid gels, several types of facial peels, skin lasers, spironolactone, 3 rounds of Reaccutane. You name it, I have done it. When people hear that this has been my experience, they are shocked. But you have such beautiful skin. Well, yes, I do now, but that would be the Reaccutane I have to take each week to keep my bad skin at bay. The Reaccutane that I will most probably have to continue to take at a low dose for the rest of my 20s. If it were not for this miracle drug, my skin would in fact look something like this. During hard lockdown last year, my acne evolved from whiteheads and blackheads into full-blown adult cystic acne. I think I am one of very few people who can say I was immensely grateful to be trapped inside the walls of my home for as long as we were. While having acne in my tween and teenage years often made me loathe my appearance, this time round, on top of the devastating self-esteem, I found myself slipping into a depressive and anxious state. Even though I didn't have to see anyone other than my family or digs mates, even just a glimpse of myself in the mirror made me sick to my stomach. I'm being this raw and real with you as I want you to know that although acne does not threaten one's physical well-being, the detrimental emotional and mental effects of this condition can be severe. Having acne is not just an issue of vanity. It can be debilitating to one's health. One night when I was feeling particularly sorry for myself, I was scrolling through Instagram and came across the page of a young South African woman called Monique Schreiber. I sat for a few hours and watched a series of highlights on her page, videos of her telling her heartbreaking story about developing severe nodular cystic acne in her early 20s. Her pain was almost tangible through the screen. I had never resonated with a stranger's despair so strongly. And yet, even though I deeply felt for her, a sense of relief washed over me. I felt seen, I felt heard, I felt accepted. Seeing someone with a following of thousands and thousands of people be so vulnerable and brave about the ups and downs of their skin journey had finally made me feel like less of a pariah. Monique's account unlocked a whole new community to me on social media, a community of acne-positive influencers whose mission it was to showcase the normality of acne and to shed light on the unrealistic representation of skin in the mass media. With every new account I found and followed, my anger at the unfair and unobtainable beauty standards of our society grew. I knew the stats. Acne affects 9.4% of the global population. That's almost 729 million people, making it the 8th most prevalent disease worldwide. Why, if these are the stats, is there zero representation of this condition in the media? Why, if acne is so common, are those who experience it made to feel so undesirable by the current beauty ideals? It is not someone's fault for developing acne. It does not come about due to a person being unhygienic or because of an unhealthy lifestyle. It is the result of a dysregulation of internal biological pathways and a certain genetic makeup. People like Monique and I have no real explanation as to what caused our acne. Why then are people who suffer from this disease made to feel so disgusting? A fire was ignited within me. I thought of my young 13-year-old self sobbing in my parents' bed, refusing to go to get-togethers or extramurals that I loved out of sheer embarrassment for my skin. What if this little girl had had the opportunity to see someone with the same bumpy skin in a magazine? Would the hit to my self-esteem have been so low if I had someone with acne to look up to? As a young woman in today's world, so much emphasis is placed on our external appearances. Whether we are told it overtly or not, young women equate their worth based on what society has told them is desirable. I, for one, can say that as a teenager, I determined so much of my value as a human being based on whether others around me viewed me as physically attractive. I once read a quote, it went, "Understand that your physical appearance, whether you fit the current beauty ideal or not, is just a single, volatile, and not even particularly interesting aspect of yourself." Up until the point of my acne flare-up last year, I hadn't yet quite understood the meaning of these words. Not at one point in my 23 years of existence have I ever chosen to become friends with someone because of how they look, nor do I love any one of my family or friends more or less based on their appearance. To add to this, our prime physicality only makes up a small segment of our lives. Not one of us can escape the inevitability of sagging or wrinkling. Yet society has brainwashed us into thinking that our appearance is one of the most important things that we can offer to this world. Internalizing this quote finally led me to embark on a journey of body neutrality. The body neutrality movement is an offshoot of the body positivity one. Although I think the body positivity movement has its place and has brought self-love and acceptance to many people's lives, when we consider how deeply conditioned we are by society to find faults in our appearances, it is unrealistic to believe that the only emotion we can feel for our bodies is love. I can safely say that at not one point did I love my acne, nor was I ever of the opinion that I could. Body neutrality removes any emphasis on appearance and relieves any feelings of guilt that one must cultivate love for their body at every moment. It is rather a philosophy that focuses on what your body can do for you and its remarkable capabilities. Ultimately, practicing body neutrality is a form of practicing gratitude, an emotion that scientific research has shown to have association with greater happiness. For example, when looking in the mirror and thinking, ew, my legs have cellulite, your internal dialogue could be shifted to focus on what it is that your legs allow you to do. My legs allow me to walk, to run, to jump, to dance, to hike. Or in my case, I may have acne, but I am grateful that my skin protects my organs, allows me to feel, and keeps me warm. Imagine if we could live in a world where this is the way we view and spoke about our bodies. If we could teach children to value their abilities and their health before their appearances, we could breed a society of people who are happier. It seemed fitting that whilst I was coming to all these realizations, I received a book I'd ordered by a feminist and social activist called Florence Given. Her book is titled Women Don't Owe You Pretty. Although she is not the first to have made commentary on the harmful beauty standards of our society, her ideas certainly acted as a catalyst for me to dive deeper into the systems on which these constructs have been built. It is no secret that Eurocentric beauty standards, as a result of Western colonialism, have become universal, continually perpetuating ideas of racism, fat phobia, transphobia, ageism, and ableism. It is here that I will say that as a white, cis, able, thin woman, along with a multitude of other privileges, I have the privilege of seeing people who look like me in the media. While the lack of representation of untouched skin is frustrating and an important topic of discussion, it can in no way equate to the lack of representation of those who these systems oppress. In her work, The Beauty Myth, How Images of Beauty Are Used Against Women, Naomi Wolf writes that there is no legitimate, historical, or biological justification for the beauty myth. She further goes on to detail how anthropologists have yet to find evidence that the current beauty ideals are rooted in evolutionary processes of mate selection. Others in this field, like Dr. Hannah McCann, have agreed with the works of Wolf, saying, to suggest that there are universal ideas of beauty that transcend culture completely fails to comprehend the way that ideals of beauty have been constructed in order to be sold. If we can understand and notice that beauty standards are a product of capitalism and the patriarchy, there is hope that we can have the ability to not let them define us. These systems profit off our insecurities and manipulate us into believing that becoming more desirable or beautiful will equate to us becoming more worthy. Understanding the intrinsic nature on which these systems work to brainwash us in no way requires you to become anti-capitalist or to cut yourself off from mainstream society, but affords you the power to change your own patterns of thinking around your own body. For me, recognizing these notions allowed me to realize that by loathing my appearance, I was only allowing the goals of these unequal systems to be achieved. It allowed me to realize the true vapidity of my appearance and understand that every other facet of myself defines me before my physical body. In line with what we have learned this year, I believe as newcomers in this industry that we have a responsibility to challenge archaic ideas and to contribute to a society that allows every human to prosper. I have in no way mastered the art of total self-acceptance. There are days when I still feel negative when I have a breakout or I'm critical of my appearance. However, becoming educated on these topics has allowed me to strive towards total self-acceptance. And while I'm not naive enough to ever think that I will fully reach this goal, these learnings have equipped me to be far more resilient in the face of society's ideologies. I'm not someone who believes that everything happens for a reason. To me, the statement is somewhat idealistic. However, I am a firm believer of silver linings. The silver lining of suffering from acne for as long as I did is that it brought me great compassion and empathy for those walking along any trajectory that has made them feel less than. I'm also immensely grateful that I'm privileged enough to being able to receive medical treatment for my skin, and that I have a support structure around me that made me feel less alone through it all. But most importantly, the silver lining of my acne journey is that it allowed me to shed any ideas that were once hindering me. My only hope as I conclude this talk is that to anyone out there of any gender who is suffering from acne, to know that you are worthy. Textured skin is normal and you are beautiful. Thank you.